look at this guy. Man, I've been doing a lot of Tantos lately. I don't really know why. I still like drop points and still feel that they do still have the most versatility. But we got the Recon Tanto from Cold Steel here today. This is in their new kind of rendition. They've done a couple different things. They put a hollow grind on it so that it has a better geometry for slicing and cutting. Now that loses some of its strength versus a saber grind, so that's a trade-off, and we'll talk about that today. But it's also in the SK5 steel that they have been doing with the SRK. So we have the SRK versus the Recon Tanto today, and we're gonna use these guys in a lot of, slicing, nylon rope, stabbing, prime. We're gonna do a lot of stuff like that, but I also wanted to take both of these knives together out into the woods and do some basic survival tasks, feather stick making, some notches, build a couple spears, that type of thing, and see if the Recon Tanto can compete with the SRK, and really if either of these knives are good to be taking out in the woods in general, because they definitely have more of a combat soldier knife feel to them. So, but I think a lot of you at the crazy price point of between $40 and $50, which we'll have links in the description below, over to Amazon. That's a great way to help support the channel. These things have a lot of appeal, curb appeal, when you're looking at more of a combat style knife. So we're gonna do a lot of reviewing, a lot of testing, a lot of concept discussion today as we look at the Recon Tanto from Cold Steel and running it up against its brother, the SRK. All right, let's go ahead and get to really the crux of it, the blade, because these knives are so similar. We're gonna go through it all after we talk about the blade, the sheaths, the handles, all that are almost mirror images of each other. One's a Tanto with a little bit more reach, one is more of a clip point. So let's go ahead and talk about the steel first and some of the changes before we actually talk about performance over the old versions. This is the SK5 version. They do have this in a few other versions as well, and we'll have links below to all of the versions that are out there of these tools. These are the SK5 versions that we're looking at. These will be the most inexpensive versions. SK5 steel is kind of an in-between steel from 1075 and 1095. It's about 1080 to 1085 steel. It's just an Asian-produced version of that. So what you're getting is good toughness and an ability to be able to resharpen the edge very easily out in the field. So this, if it gets any sort of damage, it's not more of a chip, it's more of a roll usually, which is way easier to take care of. And then you can really tune it up and get it razor sharp super quick. Some of those super steels out there, even that these are made out of, like CPM 3V, which I love, they tend to take a little bit more work to get the edge back on. And when you're out in the field with maybe not your full field kit or full sharpening kit, it's a little tricky. So this is very easy steel to work with, and it's rather tough. It is very prone to rust, so that's why this black coating is on both of these blades. So just be aware of that. If you're in high humid environments, you're gonna have to take care of the edge a lot that's uncoated, and these just tend to rust. It's just the nature of high carbon. The other thing that you may notice that we talked about when we did the SRK video is that they have brought in the Ricasso. The Ricasso used to be 3/4 of an inch long, almost an inch long. They've brought this now back to, it's about 1/4 of an inch on the Ricasso, which is really nice to see, which means that the cutting edge is closer to your hand, so you don't have to feel like you're choking up or that you're very far away from the blade when you're doing finer cutting. You feel like you have a lot more control now over the knife because the edge has been brought in and the Ricasso is not as large, which is awesome to see. That was a huge plus in the design tweaking that Cold Steel has recently done. There may be a few still floating around that have those longer Ricassos and the old saber grinds. Now, to my knowledge, all of Cold Steel's products in the Recon and Tanto and SRK are going to hollow grinds and shorter Ricassos. Then there is that final piece that I just touched on, hollow grind transitions from saber grinds. So there's a trade-off, positive and negative, as I alluded to. Hollow grinds mean that they have better edge geometry. That means that the edges are thinner, quicker, and there's a better slicing capability. The drawback to, say, a saber or flat grind of the hollow grind is that hollow grinds don't tend to be as strong at the edge. So super hard, silly abuse that you really shouldn't be putting a knife through, but that many of us, including myself, often do, could possibly damage the edge quicker. You may see dulling quicker because the edge is narrower. It means it'll be sharper when it's tuned up, and it will cut and slice better because of pure geometry. But those are trade-offs, and they decided to go with more of a slicing, because this is a combat knife, more slicing capability and being willing to sacrifice a little bit on the strength of the edge that you're looking at with these knives. So now on the Recon Tanto, you're looking at a 7-inch from tip to handle blade with an actual cutting edge of 6.75 inches. On the SRK, you're looking at from the handle to the tip 6 inches with a 5.75 inch cutting edge. So you're looking at an overall inch longer blade on the Recon Tanto. So when we're talking about combat, and that's really where these knives were originally designed, the SRK having been issued to Navy SEALs as a utility, combat knife for years and years, and the Recon Tanto is a great, companion to that. The thing that I'll note with the blade length is that it's going to give you longer reach for only about almost like an ounce heavier. That's about it. This is about an ounce heavier than on the SRK. I'll be annotating in the two weight differences there. So almost nothing. You're getting an extra inch of reach, which is good, particularly for stabbing, penetrating. God forbid you're in some sort of combat situation and you're having to use this knife to defend your life. I am not skilled in hand-to-hand combat, but when you are looking for that, you're getting more reach without having to sacrifice a lot of weight. Longer blades, usually they're, weigh a lot more, and you may be sacrificing on some weight there, and it's a heavier, less wieldy knife. This Recon Tanto is very wieldy and easy and well balanced to handle in your hand, which is super nice to see. The second thing that I will attribute to the combat capability is that Tanto, and I've been looking at it, and I believe it's a saber grind Tanto and then the hollow grind down here. I could be incorrect in that, but if it's a hollow, it's like the most gradual hollow ever, but I believe they kept a saber grind on the tip and then went into a hollow grind, giving you a compound grind on here, which means that when you look at these two knives, the Recon Tanto and the SRK, the Recon Tanto has a much stronger overall tip. And so if you were to ask me which one is going to be better for stabbing and prying, I'm going to say the Recon Tanto over the SRK. You have a more likely chance of snapping and breaking that tip on the SRK. It's very precise, but with that hollow grind going all the way in and just being a lot thinner down there, it's just not going to have the strength that you may be looking for. So if you were to say, I am looking for a combat knife that if I have to, I can stick a bad guy with, I would say the Recon Tanto is the way to go over the SRK. So now something very interesting that I discovered with this Recon Tanto is it has this continuous sweep. A lot of Tanto knives, they're completely straight and then they transition to a belly. Very similar actually to this SRK. You can see there's no up sweep at all until you hit the belly right about here. Whereas if you're looking at the Recon Tanto, we're looking at a continuous sweep, which was really interesting to me. It's hard to see on the pictures, when you're looking at online on a web store like Blade HQ or Amazon or whatever. And what that means is that the tip is actually a little bit higher than the overall top of the blade, so it's sweeping up, which is really awesome, which when you look at that, and it's pure just geometry and physics, when you look at a knife, this is actually, from this point of transition to here, going to be a better slicer than the SRK. And everything that I saw with its use, regardless if I was outdoors or nylon rope and paracord, and you're a soldier and you got hung up somewhere and you got to cut through a seatbelt, you got to cut through, because your Humvee flipped over, you got to cut through some paracord or other rubber, you're tearing through stuff, whatever it may be. The continuous sweep of the Tanto up to that Tanto transition right there, where it goes into the secondary grind, that's actually going to slice better than what your SRK is going to do for you. So then the final piece of the puzzle, just outdoor use in general. We've talked a lot about soldiering, and I'll bring all this to a close here in a moment. But when we're talking about outdoor use, you're on a hike, you're camping, you're on a camping trip, you're on a backpacking trip, whatever. Both of these knives basically perform almost exactly the same. They're going to split the same. They're going to hack the same. They're going to make feather sticks the same. They're going to make notches the same. Neither one really removed any more material faster than the other. Maybe the Recon Tanto was slicing ever so slightly with the wood. I didn't really notice the difference though, probably because of the belly being closer here versus the continuous sweep. They're working kind of in different ways doing the same thing till this transition here. So you're getting about the same slicing capability. Neither one of these knives would be my first choice to go take into the woods. Cold Steel has lots of other, like bushcraft style or camping type of knives that would be a little bit better suited. These are absolutely doable. They can do survival tasks if need be. That means just surviving. But the hollow grinds and just the geometries of being combat style blades with clip points and, the hollow grinds and Tantos and all that, these are definitely more prone to be better suited you know, in the military, in law enforcement, maybe a bug out bag if you're in an urban environment, you know, something like that is really where they're going to shine. They can be used out in the woods. They did okay. They're by no means, you know, top of the line woods performing blades, but they really can perform exactly the same, and you're not going to see a difference in one side or the other. Just really at that point, if you are going to take these out in the woods, it's just what connects with you better visually. You're not going to see any really performance differences. So there you have it, folks. We've gone through the blade portion. Let's hit the handle, let's hit the sheaths, and then let's bring it back, and I'll wrap this all up and give you my final thoughts on what tool is best suited for what situation. So let's go ahead and talk handle. Again, mirror image to what you would expect on an SRK. What you're looking at is an overall length of 4.75 inches long. It is a full tang enclosed by that polymer rubber, very grippy. You got kind of pocking along the sides, ribbing on top and bottom. Very ergonomic, got a good little palm swell there, lanyard hole. I wear large size gloves, and you can see just how much is left there. Just always has filled out my hand really well with the SRK versions that I've had, and again, you're getting the exact same grip. Good finger guard right here, no thumb ramps or, you know, jimping to worry about. So I mean, you're really locked into place. Again, being a combat style knife, you definitely want to be able to stab and thrust and be able to do multiple grips and know and trust that you're going to be locked into place and you're not going to stab and accidentally, you know, slide down on the blade. So this gives you a very secure, very good grip for that style of lightweight, you know, fast combat utility blade. All right, sheaths. Now, if you know the SRK, we've reviewed it a couple times and it's different variations. It's the exact same style sheath here on the Recon Tanto. It's the Cold Steel Securex. It's that molded polymer. Lots of different attaching points all the way through. You got your little drainage hole here. Ambidextrous, so you can unscrew the nylon belt strap and flip it from right to left, which is really good. You got that nice button and Velcro with a very large, you know, placement there. Very nice to see. Good quality, no issues there. And it rides real nice and flush against your belt. And then you do have that nice thumb ramp right there. Good secure grip around the guard. Snaps back into place. You can totally run it upside down without the nylon if you don't want to do that. No rattle. Really well laid out, really well thought out. And for the price point, a great modular sheath. So folks, here we go. Wrapping this up. Thanks for coming and joining me today as I give you guys my final thoughts. Now, it's cool to see the differences between the old styles with the larger Ricasso flat grinds compared to the short Ricasso hollow grinds that Cold Steel is doing. I love that they've gone with the SK5 steel, bringing this to a good performer for under $50 is just mind-blowing for both of these blades. And as we just kind of bring this all to a close to help you make that wise choice when you're looking at these two knives, I think if you are looking for a combat soldier style utility knife, I think the Recon Tanto is the way to go. For like almost no extra ounces, you're getting an inch longer reach, you're getting continuous sweep that tends to go through man-made materials better, and you're getting a stronger tip. So that's where I really see this thing performing super well and outperforming its smaller brother, the SRK. When it comes to outdoor use, now this would not, again, be my first choice in an outdoor knife, but if you are going to use this for, you know, survival, bushcrafting, you're a hiker, you're a camper, and you do like this style, you're committed to it, you like the price point, you like the styling, then really it just depends. Do you like Tanto blades or do you like more of a clip point, hunter point? That they're both going to perform almost exactly the same in every aspect when you're out there in the woods, when you're trying to do those outdoor tasks with this style of knife. So I hope this video has kind of helped you guys out make that decision, which one is the better tool for you. For me, if I had to choose one, I think I would go with the Recon Tanto. In my opinion, just has more versatility in my mind, more strength in the tip, and just a little bit larger for the same amount of money, and they're going to perform exactly the same otherwise. So when I'm out in the woods, and that's it. That's me. That's my feeling, which is kind of crazy that this guy kind of outshines its more well-known brother, more loved brother, the SRK. The Recon Tanto, in my mind, actually is the better performer overall for overall general use. So guys, thank you so much for coming over here today, checking out the channel. Please subscribe, comment, like, share this video. I hope it's helped you decide which tool is the right tool for you. Check us out on all the relevant social media. That's a great way to see what's up and coming. We're cranking out videos every single week, so check out that most recent video popping up, the subscribe button. And finally, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.